All right, so you did this one yesterday. Let's go through and check to see how we did. So the first thing we needed to do was we needed to find the axis of symmetry. So x equals negative b over 2a. What do I notice about this graph though? What's the first thing I notice? There is no b. So b is 0. So my axis of symmetry is 0. I have an imaginary line right there. 0. Number 2, I need to plug that in. So I plug in my number 1 answer. Which means my vertex is now located at, where's my vertex located at, Nick? Where's my vertex located at? When you plug 0 in, what do you get out for y? So my vertex is 0, negative 2. I plot 0, negative 2. That's my vertex. Good. Step 3 was to do the y-intercept. What's my y-intercept here, Jesse?
Negative 2.
What's ironic about that? What do you notice about that? It's already plotted because that was my vertex. That one's done. Number 4, I need to pick an x. Well, technically here I want to pick 2 x's because I'm on the y-intercept. I didn't get a point there. So I want to pick 2 x's. Okay. What values of x would be the easiest to pick? What do you think would be the easiest values of x to pick, Jack? 1 and 2. Nice job. I pick 1 and 2. So I have x equals 1 and I have x equals 2. I plug those coordinates in. When you plug x equals 1 in, what do you get y to equal, Jack? Negative 1. I plot the coordinates. And then I plot its reflection. So I go on the other side. And then I do x equals 2. When I plug x equals 2 in, I get y equals, was y equal, Lane? Plug in x equals 2, y comes out to equal 2. So I plot 2, 2. And I do the reflection. And there's my graph right there. Okay? All comes down to having this part right here, though. You need to find the axis of symmetry. Take a couple seconds, try number 10. Same thing, go through the same 5 steps. Find the axis of symmetry, find the vertex, find the y-intercept, pick one more value. Alright, goes through those steps. Alright, let's go through this. First thing I need to do, I need to find the axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. My axis of symmetry is located where, Kelly? Say positive 2, right? X equals 2. My axis of symmetry is positive 2 because I get negative 4 over negative 2, which is a positive 2. Step 2, I need to plug in number 1's answer. Well, when I plug in number 1, I get my vertex. Where's my vertex located at? Vertex located where, Colton? 2, 6. So I get the coordinate up there. Number 3, I need to do my y-intercept. What's my y-intercept, Marisol? Say it again. The y-intercept? What? Oh, no, yeah. What's the y-intercept first, though? No, that's my vertex. Constant. Oh, okay. The y-intercept would be 2, right? Because our y-intercepts always are constant. So I plot 2. After I plot 2, what's the next thing I need to do, Nolan? Plot its opposite. If you look in a mirror, it's called a reflection. You plot its reflection. Nolan, we make a good like a charades team, I think, man. We'd be good.
Yeah.
Just kidding. What is the game then? All right, number 4 then says I need to pick an x. So step 4, I need to pick an x. Destiny, what value of x would you like to pick?
1.
That is an excellent value. Notice, I use 0, 2, and 4 already. So a great value to pick would be x equals 1. When you plug in x equals 1, what'd you get, Destiny?
It's y equals 7? No? Alright.
You included the negative, didn't you?
No.
Don't include the negative because there's parentheses. The negative's outside. So I actually get y equals what, Pat? When you plug in 1?
6.
Not 5.
Wait, can you tell me that up there so you see that?
Yeah. So I take this a right here, right? I get y equals negative parentheses 1 squared plus 4 times 1 plus 2. Because it's not, again, it's not negative x squared, it's negative x squared. Again, the negative's not included. It's just the x squared, and then you tack on the negative. Big difference there. Okay, and that would give me a 5 then, which then I look here. Now, self-check here, right? We know a parabola makes a u. Does everybody agree with that? So what happens if I do accidentally plug it in wrong? Well, like Destiny said, well, we get a point that's 1, 7. What do you notice about my graph then?
It's like wave.
It's a wave, right? That would not be a true parabola. So that's a good self-check to always think about. If you plot it, does it make a U shape? Okay? Understand that. That's a good point to check on. Try this one. Try number 11. Take a couple seconds to try number 11. What is A in this problem?
1.
A is 1. What is B in this problem? 1. So I plug that in. Negative 1 over 2 times 1. I took A and I took B from my quadratic and I plugged it in. Now I just simplify. Negative 1 over 2 times 1 gets me negative 1/2.
Are you kidding me?
There's my axis of symmetry. Negative 1/2.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2. I plug in my answer from step 1. So that means I get y equals negative 1/2 squared plus negative 1/2 minus 2.
Why have you parentheses now?
I always, because x is negative 1/2. I have to include it here.
Oh, gotcha.
Because x is a negative number. Now, what is negative 1/2 squared? I get 1/4. Do we all understand plus and negative is the same thing as subtraction? So it's really 1/4 minus 1/2 minus 2. 1/4 minus a half is negative 1/4. Minus 2, I get y equals, or not negative, I say this is negative 1/2. Negative 1/4, that's what I said, right? Negative 1/4 minus 2, which gives me y equals negative 2 1/4. So my vertex is y equals negative 2 1/4. Okay, and again, that's the toughest part of all this right there, is getting those two things.
How?
Yes, Pat.
Oh my gosh, why'd you give us this one?
Apologize.
Next step now. I need to find the y-intercept. So 3 is find the y-intercept. What is my y-intercept in this?
-2.
Negative 2.
I got that right.
So I plot negative 2. And then after I do that, I plot its reflection on the other side. Step 4. Now I need to pick one more value. I pick another x.
2.
What x value do you want to pick? We can pick 2. Great. What's the next x value in line? I would pick x equals 1. Again, because I have negative 1/2, 0. Let's pick x equals 1. So I plug 1 in, giving me y equals 1 squared plus 1 minus 2. 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. I get the coordinate 1, 0.
Didn't we just say y was negative 1 and a 4th.
What am I going to have to do this?
Negative 2 1/4.
Okay. Let's try another one. I'm going to erase all this. I'll give you another one. Same process. Okay. I'm going to give you the problem. Y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. Okay, go through the same process. Try this one. Go through this here. X equals negative b over 2a. We get negative 1. So I have an axis of symmetry of negative 1. Now I plug in number 1 in for x. Give me y equals negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 3. I take my x value, I plug it in. I get y equals negative 4.
So what do you do?
That is my vertex now. Those 2 points, or those two x and y, get my vertex. Negative 1, negative 4. That is a coordinate right there. Negative 1, negative 4. That is a coordinate. I plot that coordinate.
What do you do with the 3? Negative 3?
Now I then do step 3 says to do the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So the y-axis is negative 3. So I plot negative 3 on my y-axis. And then after I do that, I plot its reflection. I go to the same on the other side. Step 4. What does step 4 say to do, Izzy? What? I pick one more value of x. What value of x would you like to pick? X equals 1. I love it. That's a great value to pick. X equals 1. So what do I do with that 1? I plug it in to get my y. I can pick any value and plug it in. I can pick 1/2. Okay, because it's a graph, I'm picking points on that graph to find where the other value is. So I plug 1 in. When I do plug 1 in, I get y equals, Izzy? Oh. You get 0. Now I have a coordinate. I plot 1, 0. And then I plot the reflection, which is the same on the other side. Mirror images. After I have that, now I can sketch my curve.
Okay, let me write down
Next part here. We're going to talk about finding maximum minimums. All we're talking about here is what type of graph does this make. Now, if you recall, in the first couple slides yesterday, we talked about it. If A is negative, what's that mean my graph does? My graph goes
It looks like
down. My graph goes down. So if my graph goes down, that means I have a maximum value. That'd be like if I toss the ball up in the air and throw it back down. It makes an upside down parabola and I have a height, a maximum height. That's my maximum value. Well, in this, I understand you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. That's just what you were doing. You find your axis of symmetry, you find your vertex, and that is your maximum height. Okay, if you were to graph this, that maximum height is your vertex. That's where it's the highest point it's going to be. The same is true on the other side. Well, what happens if I have a positive x squared out front there? Then that means my graph goes up. If my graph goes up, I have a minimum value because that's the lowest point of that graph. All right, if it goes up, same thing. I find my vertex. My vertex here was negative 2, negative 11. It's the same 2 steps you were just doing when we were graphing. So it's the same first 2 steps. That's what you're doing here. Same first 2 steps. The only difference here is now it says maximum. This should be saying minimum right there. It wants you to find the minimum value. It's right where your vertex is. Your maximum or minimum will always be where your vertex is. Okay, it's always going to be right where that vertex is. And then we're going to state the range, which is either going to be less than or greater than, depending on if it's a max or a min. Okay, let's try this next one here. And this goes step by step for us. So let's look at number 12. I have f of x equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 9. Looking at A, is my graph going to go up or down, Tyler? It goes up. Now, let's think about it. If it goes up, do I have a minimum or a maximum value? I have a minimum value. Does everybody see that? Because it's going up, I have the lowest point. Now they kind of went step by step. They already kind of found the vertex. Negative negative 8 over 2 times 2. I get a vertex or an x value of 2. Does everybody see they just plugged this in here? So I took negative of negative. So I have negative b, 2a. They just plugged it in already for us, simplified it down. After I have 2, what do I have to do with this 2? Cassie, I plug it in. So I plug it in, getting me 2, parentheses, 2 squared, minus 8 times 2, plus 9. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. What? So I have 2 times 2, so I have 8. 8 times 2 is 6, or negative 16 there, right? Plus 9. Sorry, 8 minus 16 plus 9 gets me 1. Okay? So my range or my minimum value will be y is greater than or equal to 1. Because my graph goes up, that 1 value is right there. So I'm taking all of the values higher than it because that's the minimum value. So everything higher than that works. Okay? Try number 13 here. Take a couple seconds, try number 13. As you look at it, hopefully you're recognizing it's negative. So I go down, giving me a maximum. Okay.
Can I have the following students please see Mr. Michael? Trevor Harlow, David